The Kalicube Tuesdays, we are live with Andrew Holland, Head of Organic at Embryo. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey there, Jason. Thank you very much for having me.
A quick hello and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Andrew Holland.
Very nice, very nice.
Lovely. And even though your name is Holland, you're in the UK, you're in Manchester at Embryo right now.
That's right. Yeah, we're in the office. So if you do hear anything back, because it is a busy agency, although we're not all in today. We've got about a 50-person agency here, so it's my team in today with the PPC team and a few others. So it's if you see anybody bobbing around, hopefully the noise won't jump on into our session today.
Right. And you're called Head of Organic because you don't want to say SEO, or is there another reason?
You know, that's an interesting. It's interesting. So we've got our in-house content team, which I know is rare for a lot of agencies. So we've got 5 in-house writers full time. So so we've got the content side, and then we got the SEO side, and really the two were sort of working separate channels for a while, and we brought them under one and called it organic to separate from paid, really. So yeah, it is. There aren't many. I don't think there's not many head of organics or the organic role, but it's you could call it SEO, but the content writers, they do other things other than the SEO as well.
Holland in the UK, brilliant. I actually prefer Head of Organic. It makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I come from the SEO world, and more for me, I think, SEO is part of what I do, but definitely not even the biggest part anymore. There's so much more organic stuff going on around it, and the SEO is a way to package that organic for Google to make the most of, for me, what the bonus Google represents. Anyway, that's my little what is it called, rant. We always start with the brand SERP. Now, Andrew Holland, incredibly common name. Rare that we have a name quite this common. Not an insulting common, but popular, let's say.
I'm not John Smith, am I? So, but yeah,
no.
I know what you mean.
If we show the first brand SERP, I took it in the USA to have a look at what we got there, and nothing to do with you, but we do have the people also ask, who is Andrew Holland? And the answer to that in people also ask is actually not you, unfortunately. But then I had a look in the UK, and what I found really intriguing, if we look at the next one, is they basically show you a range of images of Andrew Holland. Hopefully, I would imagine that kind of thing, and hopefully you'll recognize the one you were looking for, and you are in fact in there.
That's me. Yeah, I'm in there. Yeah, that's fat me. I've lost a few pounds since that picture.
Right, yeah, and I went through, and if you scroll down to the bottom, one of the related searches is Andrew Holland SEO.
I'm getting there. I'm baby steps of brand stuff. I read your book, and it's very good, by the way.
Oh, thank you very. I'm terribly charmed. I've gone all red. But in fact, now you're going to have to get it to say Andrew Holland Organic, because you don't say SEO anymore.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, the organic word is. We're going to have a good chat about SEO and things and throughout the next half hour. But yeah, there's the roles called organic, and I think that explains a lot more, and it explains the aliveness of search engine results and the general industry as well, because there are so many threads to this that it's very much an organic living thing rather than this linear path that I think that we tend to have this version in our brains. We simplify it for our brains, I think, whereas we don't understand the whole picture.
Right, yeah, and one way to perhaps be able to get a better view of the whole picture is actually to look through Google, is to do searches on Google. I mean, I do brand searches because that's my thing. And it gives you this incredibly good overview of your digital ecosystem, your marketing strategy, what's successful, what isn't, and what your audience, or what at least Google thinks your audience is looking for around your brand. And I'm sure you could expand that idea out and do it around different topics to get a much better view of this organic internet that we have, which isn't SEO, but it's still just it's using Google as a viewing lens.
Yeah. So I have a really abstract, probably different view of SEO than a lot of people, certainly the view that's promoted. So in the way I describe it is literally, if you take a big tree, rip it up, turn it to the side, you've got the branches are your business and the business growth of the tree, and the roots is the organic side. And you've got entry points, and you're putting links out there and into your business from a wide range of sources across the internet. I think we generally get very obsessed with search engines, and one in particular, and I think where organic itself comes from a wide range of sources, different platforms, Web 2.0s, there's all kinds of things that come in to the into that listing, into that we were called embryo. It's if we think of it as the internet as a living, breathing thing rather than this fixed machine-like process, organically you can grow from a wide variety of sources. I mean, one of my favorite marketers is Seth Godin, for example, whose presence online, if you actually look at his presence, and Seth is actually quite scathing on SEO whenever he talks about it. He talks the salt mines of SEO, the gamble. But then when you actually look at the ecospheres where Seth is represented, he's on every platform, YouTube. People take his presence, put it on TikTok. I'm pretty sure he's not on TikTok, but in terms of people take his content, put him on TikTok. He exists across the internet in a wide variety of places because of his marketing approach, putting his brand out there bigger and better. So organically, there's doorways into his business, into his main website across the internet, but not created by him, and certainly probably not optimized by him. So that's the kind of way I look at it.
Yeah, and that's a really, really interesting point about other people using your content to create new content, or citing you, or talking about you. And as you say, he appears on TikTok without actually being on TikTok himself. We often forget that. We're actually, the interview I did with Anton earlier on, we did an interview about Kalicube Tuesdays. And one of the things I want to do is place that on third parties and get third parties to write further content to try to get that kind of third party corroboration and recommendation in Google's brain about that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think this is Seth, who I take a lot of inspiration from Seth, really, in terms of, in the challenge for me from Seth is saying, SEO is not right. Yeah, good shout. Seth is quite scathing about the whole SEO industry, really, and search engines as a whole. But then if you actually break down and have a look at his profiles online and where he's coming, the actual source tends to be, one, his books. Obviously, he's writing things and creating content, but he creates thought-provoking content, which is certainly, I know I have a reasonable following on LinkedIn. Right. So he's creating things that get others talking about, and gives people options for thinking differently, which I think this podcast is probably very good positioned at doing. Is this, this whole next half hour is us giving options for people thinking differently. And some of those sound bites will then get taken and then put elsewhere and reused and put onto third-party sites, which provide links into the business, and spreading the message organically across the web, rather than thinking, how can I rank on a search engine, and how can I go build links? How many outreach emails do I have to say? Now, we have to be careful in the word thought-provoking. It doesn't have to be provocative in terms of trying to get people's attention or rage by going against them. And a lot of people do that. But you can be thought-provoking and give people options for thinking differently without having to upset the whole of the internet, or try and do that deliberately and trying to be scandalous, as we see online in places. And I think that's the thing with Seth succeeds very well, is the sheer amount of volume that he's able to produce content-wise, and that penetrates the internet. And over time, I mean, he's been doing it for 20 years now, things like that. And how many websites have been around for 20 years, and how many businesses actually even put that kind of effort into their marketing, where they're going to market every day with giving people information that they can use and they can talk about. Probably few.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I now realize I've got a lot of catching up to do, because I'm starting 20 years too late.
You, me both.
Yeah, and sorry, I was thinking, don't want to forget the sponsors. If we can have the sponsors up before we carry on. I'm sorry to interrupt in the middle, but I keep forgetting, and I get told off. Anton? Yeah, so join me every week on Kalicube Tuesdays. Here are some of the amazing people we've had on. That was from 2021. We're now in 2022. That's every Tuesday. And this is produced in partnership with Wordlift, who are an amazing AI company who have the artificial intelligence you need to grow your traffic. And then this week I wanted to announce that Kalicube Pro, which is our SaaS platform that I've built, we're now offering a knowledge panel done for you service that we do for you. So please do contact us if you're looking to build or to manage a knowledge panel for yourself or your business. So that was the sponsors moment. And I wanted to move on now to branding, because knowledge panels really huge in branding. Google understands who you are. And you're saying SEO becomes brand marketing?
Yeah. So this goes back again, all past sort of lead to Seth in many ways. So years ago, I took a very expensive Seth Godin course, and which was really interesting because it allowed me to understand marketing from a very different perspective. And his challenge one, like I say, he's scathing on SEO. And hold on, this is my career, SEO. How can he be so scathing when you've got this marketer? So it forced me to challenge my views on SEO in terms of what it was. And one of the viewpoints that Seth puts forward is there are two types of marketing: direct advertising and brand marketing. So direct advertising, anything where we're asking people to take a specific action. We place a click here, buy now, take this free offer. It's things that we can quantify with a result. We asked for a specific result. Everything else is the cost of telling your story of your business and the story you want to tell the business. Now, for me, I looked at SEO and thought, well, okay, it does dabble a little bit into the direct advertising world, and a very famous marketer named Drayton Bird, who said the whole of online was direct advertising. So I've got these, you've got these tremendous views that were conflicting. So I had to have a look at it and thought to myself, well, hold on a second here. SEO really fits into the brand marketing side. It's the cost of telling the story of your business to the world. And I think you've got to put it there. So yes, like anything else, like Seth says, brand marketing does sometimes create revenue, and it does create revenue. It can create revenue, but it's not necessarily from that one click. It's not necessarily from that one page that you necessarily gain that revenue. So when I looked at that, and I was thinking to myself, how do I align these type of views? Putting SEO into that brand marketing group then changes budgeting, because as Seth famously says, is direct advertising, you should spend money and make money. Whereas brand marketing, you set a budget and you spend it all. And that's a very different comparison set with SEO. So rather than saying, what's my ROI of SEO? It's a case you're saying, this is my budget and this is what we're going to do, because SEO, it makes sense to create content. It makes sense to leverage search engines, and it makes sense to leverage the ability of the internet, but the actual content and the brand purposes are for different things. So, and that whole ideology led to me doing a lot of research and work around behavioral science. So when we look at branding and what a brand is, a brand really is a guarantee of something not being awful. And if we talk about, Rory Sutherland talks about this very much. And if we talk about what a brand is, it's a guarantee that something is not bad. And we'll pay a premium for things not being bad. That's the truth about things. And what greater way to leverage things is that you've got a business that's creating content and has got a lot of content on site and also ranks in Google. So I think of search engine results pages as doorways into your business. But if they land on your site becomes its own search engine, where the user can stay, they can search for content. Sometimes there's a search box, sometimes there's the category pages, and you can see things. And the longer they stay, the more likely they are is to form that opinion of the brand that you've invested so much into your reputation that you're not likely to be bad, if that makes sense.
Yes, no, it does. And kind of what that strikes me there is that, in fact, Google is then basically recommending you, and it's giving you the credibility. So the mere fact that you're ranking on Google gives you the credibility that allows people or encourages people to think, well, they're not bad. And that was the other thing I'm thinking is, you're saying it's not bad. That's a very low bar. I was thinking we were all looking to be great.
And yeah, I mean, there's some great analogies in behavioral science in terms of said that, we will pay immensely or pay a premium for them to reduce the risk of failure. That's what we're going to do. And we're not sure what signs we're looking at. So the Nielsen Norman Group have got some great research papers in relation to how online conversion happens. And they do mention something called Google gullibility, which is the fact that the very fact of being ranked on Google is a what they call a signal of credibility. Now, in behavioral science, they'll call it costly signaling. We all know that being ranked on Google on the first page takes effort. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows it takes effort to create good content, even though on a subconscious level, if you're reading a 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 word mega post, which is full of detail, full of depth, it's like, oh, great, this has taught me everything I need to know, then you know that effort went into that, because we're very taught from it. We know from our school days the effort that's involved in creating content and writing. So we know that. We also know that businesses on Google have to be listed in order in relation to queries. So that positioning on there is enough to subconsciously send to people a credibility signal. And that makes the whole conversion element process. It doesn't mean they're going to necessarily click on, you're going to convert there and then, but already you are part of what Google calls the messy middle. I don't know if you've seen the messy middle paper, if you had a look at that.
No. Explain it to me. Now I'm suddenly intrigued.
Oh, wow.
Messy middle.
Okay. So think with Google, if you were to Google, think with Google and the messy middle, up comes their research paper that talks about the messy middle, which is a big part of what we do here at Embryo. So the messy middle works on some research Google have conducted in relation to how people buy online, and it is a process. There's an exposure to a subject or to an industry product, and what happens is there's a trigger. Now, triggers can happen internally or externally. Internal triggers can be boredom, and you go to Instagram, or boredom and you search for things. External, or it could be just, I feel like going on holiday. Let me look on the internet for holidays. I feel like a weekend away. An external trigger might be a TV ad. It might be somebody else's photos on holiday that they've seen on Facebook and things like that. So your internal, external triggers happen. And at that point, you then head off to the search engine result pages, and then you start to search. And the first thing Google says is what you do is explore. And you type in, and they've done the studies, done the touch points, and you explore in depth, and you know what this is like. If you're buying a product or service, you explore, you look at the options, you find out how to do something, what's involved in something. You do all these exploratory searches until eventually you start to evaluate, and you move into the evaluation sphere. So you then start to look at best, cheapest, potentially, fastest. You compare products with one another. You compare destinations with one another. You look at things to do. You're making this. You look at reviews on holidays and things like that. So there's a wide range of things you do to evaluate, and then eventually, having evaluated your options and reduced them down, you then purchase. Or if something's not right on the purchase side, you then go back into that phase again. And of course, remembering, because life is busy, full of interruptions at any one time, people jump in and out of these searches from days, months, weeks at a time. If you're thinking about buying a car, it could take a year before you choose your car. If you're thinking about buying a house or moving areas, it could take a lot longer for that. So there's a wide range of options and things that go on inside that search sphere, but realistically, the messy middle dictates an awful lot of what we do online.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Wonderful explanation. Very clear. And if we come back to the exploration or the discovery phase, the research phase, more and more the Google SERPs are just full of that, and they're trying to cover this entire exploration. And I think particularly about product knowledge panels. Is that they will show you the reviews. They will show you reviews from around the web by different media outlets, options for the products, options to buy the product. And that's going to be increasingly the case. And what people are saying on SERP SEO is going to become increasingly important, because Google are bringing all that together. Yes. For efficiency purposes. They want to get people to the solution to their problem as efficiently as they possibly can.
Yeah. So if you think about it, this is the way I look at SEO. SEO helps people to make decisions that they'll be happy about. So, if we say marketing, generally marketing is about making change happen. And if the change doesn't happen, the marketing fails. And what we want to do is we want the SEO really should help people to make the decision of choosing the business, product, or service. And part of that is brand. I loved your book, by the way, in terms of how you put the brand, something that actually...
Which is behind me. Yeah.
Yes, it is very good.
You love my book. Say that again, please.
I love the book because it introduced something that, it's something that we're actually going to be bringing in part of Embryo in terms of that brand domination, because I think it's that much more important, because when someone hears about you from somewhere, they Google you. And if you can own that brand SERP, I mean, I say that my personal brand SERP needs a lot of work. I'll be ringing you after. But when you have that brand effect, that you've gone to all that thing and all that effort, and they can find all about you, conversion is vastly easier than it was before. So we think in the internet in really linear terms, but when we talk about, people just really want to make sure that they're not making a bad decision, not necessarily the best decision. By looking at the brand SERPs, looking at the knowledge panels, all these kind of things help people to make those decisions faster. Now people get upset with Google. Oh, they're taking away their traffic and things like that, because they're thinking in traffic terms, not thinking in decision terms. So if the fact that you lose traffic but people purchase quicker, but you don't know that because everyone's upset because Google, the fact that they're purchasing quicker and they can make decisions quicker that leads to you, that's a good thing. So we shouldn't get necessarily obsessed by a lack of traffic, because having a knowledge panel, having different things in the SERPs can actually help people to choose you faster if you're doing the SEO right.
Yeah, no, you've just explained incredibly well and convincingly what I kind of thought but didn't say very well. But one of the problems I have is if people immediately say to me, all right, why am I going to spend all this time improving my brand SERP? What's the ROI? What can I sell to my client as where they're going to make their money? Because that's what they're thinking. It is very linear. They're saying, I'm putting money or time into it, and it's not branding. It needs to bring in money. So go ahead.
And you see that is the part of the problem that we've got as an industry. It's why I wrote a book, The Value of SEO, to get people to think of things differently in relation to SEO.
So people should read your book and then read my book.
I think they should probably read your book first, then my book, because my book will probably supplement your book. It's a 1-2 combination. So I think we all think of SEO, if we think of it as the brand marketing, SEO needs to be compared against other brand marketing. In terms of, go past, look at the billboard industry. It's worth millions. And yet, people pay for billboards. Vast majority of billboards are neither use nor ornament. They don't get rid fast enough. There's an action loop. They give no tangible data. Radio ads could be argued are the same thing. They work because of memory architecture changes. So people read them enough or see them enough that changes the memory architecture and the relationship between a subject and a business. But we don't monitor that. No one's after that kind of data. People view it by sales at the end of the year. They view it. Now, we're trying as an SEO industry to be this. Look at the ROI we generated, but we're not direct advertising. Direct advertising's job is to justify its ROI. I spent £1,000 on ads this month. I should have 1,000 plus. That's the way it should work, or I should work on the back end and make money. The actual role of the SEO is brand marketing. We should be compared in other avenues, which nobody cares about the ROI of those things. It's because we've put ourselves as free ads over a period of years. Great call.
Anton's just put up a blank billboard for people listening on the podcast.
Yeah, you've got it. So we try and fight against direct advertising, like free ads. So many people think we're free ads still in this day and age, when we're not. What we are is to help people to choose businesses, and that's what we're about. Help. And if we get ourselves back into that brand marketing bucket, we don't have to worry about the arguments about ROI, because we're not here. We supplement things like the direct advertising. We are helping people. Now, there's going to be tangible data that we can use to justify our reach. We were seen by X, Y, Z people. I love new users. How many new people we introduced to your business through SEO? So how many new people? And these are the right kind of people. And we can fight against most other brand marketing, broad brand marketing brackets. TV ads has got more direct and in a fantastic way, but a very expensive way to market your business. And a lot of this is very direct, very, very specific, and very intentful.
And it's a bit like back in the days of the banner ads, when we measured everything with click-through rate and paid by the clicks, and we're getting 2% click rate, which seems astonishing these days. And we shot ourselves in the foot by saying that's the measurement. And then as soon as that dropped, we couldn't then sell it on anything else. And in SEO, we've been saying you can sell lots of products through Google by ranking in Google. The ROI is the sales that you're going to be making directly from SEO. And as you're saying, now we've got to pivot that and say, well, actually, it's about brand.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about brand. It's all about trust. Brand is the thing that, whether it doesn't matter whether you're the small shop selling flowers on the corner and it does, or you are the same interactions happen, or if you're a big multinational firm with several mega millions coming in, it's all about brand. It's all about decisions. How people make decisions is the important thing, and we should be thinking about how we help people to make decisions and how SEO does that. And it forms as a safety mechanism. And the content on your website's vastly important. Showing up on Google's vastly important. We know that. The brand panel's vastly important because it helps people feel secure that they're not going to get ripped off and they're not going to make a bad decision. And we've lost the human element. What we've got into this process of thinking it's just all about ranking, clicks, and traffic. It isn't. It's about decisions. And there's many a graveyard of SEO campaigns which were measured incorrectly because people were looking for the wrong metrics, when in actual fact is, if you judged it by the 12-month bottom line, oh, look, our sales have increased over the last 12 months. We're not quite sure why, but that's great. What do you think it was, that SEO company that we got rid of 6 months ago? I don't know. Oh, it'll be the sales team. Let's congratulate them. So there's a lot of credit probably not gone to SEO that they deserve because of the wrong measurements.
Right. Yeah. And that is kind of a problem from the perspective of in business in general. A company boss should be looking at, here's this budget, here's that budget, here's the other budget. At the end of the year, are we doing better or worse? And then we can adapt. And yet with SEO, people are saying, I need 10% more traffic every single month. And as soon as I don't get that 10%, I'm frustrated.
Yeah, and it's a traditional way we measure things. And even in Embryo, we measure things, we show people the data. And there's nothing wrong with being transparent about the data and saying, this is your traffic up, this is down, and looking for reasons why traffic is down because the search panels have changed and things like giving that information. But the end result of starting an SEO campaign over time is your business shall grow. And that's the thing what you look at. And certainly that growth can't necessarily be measured in line with the SEO campaign. There's a lag factor because things take time to rank and to gain that benefit. And pardon me, many times you will look at an SEO campaign, and if you've got a client long enough, you'll be able to see the results after 12 months, after 6 months, and the business results start to trickle in, and not necessarily where they think it's coming from. And then we're always on this back foot trying to justify SEO, whereas SEO shouldn't have to justify itself. We've got an abundance of information out there about why SEO is so powerful and what it does. It's just we've become really bad as an industry of articulating that, and we need to do that better.
That's an absolute brilliant conclusion. I told you I would find the moment when somebody said something that wraps it all up with beautiful intelligence, and you just did that, Andrew. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching. That was absolutely awesome. We're now going to do the passing the baton, because next week we just got confirmation this afternoon from Pamela Wilson herself that she will indeed be there next week for Making Money Online in Midlife. I'm unfortunately a little bit beyond midlife, but I definitely feel in my heart that I'm still midlife, so that's going to make sense to me. Could you pass the baton, Andrew?
We did this terribly early, so I'm going to do a spin shot, so I think it's going this way, and I hope I did that right.
You did. The baton is passed from Andrew Holland to Pamela Wilson. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you next week, and you get the outro song. A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Anton, as well. Kalicube.